So the overall landmass of Antarctica is slowly rising up. We call it as upwarping.
What does it take to be called a continent? Why is India called a subcontinent?
In this, what happens? Zealandia is slightly above the sea level. I told you the criteria is what? It should have a minimum land area of 1 million square kilometers. Okay. Neighboring countries should recognize. That is where most of the countries are now stuck.
What are the important areas for our Prelims exam 2026? Hello everyone, we have with us Mohan sir, who has been teaching geography both for general studies and optional for the past 20 years, and he also worked with the National Geographic. So in our podcast today, we'll be interacting with sir and he'll be sharing us his experiences with National Geographic, and also we'll be looking at his insights on the upcoming Prelims 2026 exam. Hello sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So we were having a conversation on what are the important areas for our Prelims exam 2026, and we would like to hear your perspective on these issues of importance from geography purely for an exam standpoint. One of the topics that created some interest among aspirants is the new continent that is going to come up, and also related to the same issue, what are the conditions for the creation of a country? We were having a discussion on this kind of things with the aspirants. So I would want you to throw us some light on the issue. What does it take to be called a continent? Why is India called a subcontinent? And why are we struggling to see some countries not getting that status of a country, even though they're claiming to be a country?
Yes.
Can you just help us understand that?
Yeah. So let's first talk about continents. Okay. Any large landmass above sea level is a continent. Okay. Any large landmass it can be. So in order to identify it as a continent, we usually consider certain conditions, such as we mention first the area. It should have a minimum area of 1 million square kilometers. That is first criteria. Second criteria, at least 5% of the land should be above sea level. This is second. Third, it should have a thick continental crust compared to the surrounding oceanic crust. Okay. Then fourth condition is it should have distinct geology, like in terms of minerals, rock, soil, compared to the other continents, distinct geology. Fifth is the plate boundary. So in plate tectonics, we have divided the world into major plates, minor plates, and microplates, right? So every continent should have a distinct plate boundary. So these are the 5 conditions we have to recognize a continent. So based on this, so we have 7 continents already existing. We all know that, right? So recently you might have seen in news about Zealandia being declared as the 8th continent. Okay, Zealandia is a border case. In this, what happens? Zealandia is slightly above the sea level. I told you the criteria is what? It should have a minimum land area of 1 million square kilometers. Okay, and 5% above sea level. So Zealandia, 6% is above sea level, slightly in that borderline. Rest of it is under the water, only 5% above or 6% above the water level. That is one. Plus it has thick continental crust compared to the surrounding ocean crust. And also it has a boundary now, plate boundary that geologists have identified. So these are the 5 conditions that we have for identifying a continent. Now you might ask, sir, why this Zealandia now? Why didn't we identify it earlier, right? So there is something that many students point out. Correct? So what is happening now is in Antarctica, because of global warming, a lot of glaciers are melting, ice is melting. Because of which, what is happening? So the overall landmass of Antarctica is slowly rising up. We call it as upwarping. So all this while, so large mass of ice, glaciers on Antarctica, because of the load, the entire landmass of Antarctica was lower. We call it as isostatic adjustment. Just like when you sit on a sofa, the sofa goes down to adjust your weight. Right. Correct. So when you get up, what happens? It rebounds back. Right. So just like that, when we had large mass of ice earlier over Antarctica, the entire land was going down. Right. Down warping, we call it as. So that was isostatic adjustment. Now because it is melting, the land is rising again. Because of which the Zealandia, which is in the vicinity, that region also slightly rising up above the water level.
Okay.
So in future, we are expecting some continents and some masses of land to move up, which were earlier under the water. So this is something that many students have never thought about. The link also, I have told you how Antarctica is one of the reason for the upwarping taking place in this vicinity. And 5 conditions for the continents, you know now.
One more doubt, also this is previously a question in the mains exam. Why is India called a subcontinent?
See, if you notice, India is part of a major plate that is called as Indo-Australian plate.
Right.
Together, India and Australia are called as twin continents.
Right.
Together, they were part of Gondwana and they drifted apart from Gondwana at the same time. Okay. So when they separated, so they went in different directions. So part of the land went with India, another part went to Australia. So if you notice, they were part of the major plate, now separated by a vast water body called Indian Ocean. So both these subcontinents are part of the same plate actually. So since the part of the region has moved northeast and collided with Tethys Sea, resulting in the upliftment of the mighty Himalayas. So India and the surrounding regions of India were called as a subcontinent, which was part of a larger plate called Indo-Australian plate. Okay, so that is also one of the reasons why Australia's status of a continent was downgraded.
Correct.
Part of Oceania now.
Right.
Australia is no longer a single large landmass. It's part of a larger area called Oceania.
Not a lot of aspirants would know this update.
Yes.
Thank you for updating. Similarly, we'll be slightly moving away from geography and entering into the political realm. Let's say, for example, we were discussing about how a lot of countries, like say, for example, a lot of places which are claiming to be independent nations, Kosovo, Catalonia, even to that matter, even Kurdistan, to a large extent, even Taiwan wants to maintain that independent status as a country. Why is it that in the context of the two-state solution and all these other countries, Israel, Palestine, all the other countries that we spoke about, why is it difficult to attain the status of a country? What is the Montevideo Convention in this context? Why do you think it is important for aspirants to know this? Please help us understand that.
See, overall, when you look at the world history and when you talk about how a state as such, a political entity is created, you should understand certain conditions a country should have. Before the UN formation, let's go back to, as you said, Montevideo Convention, there were like some ambiguity in this. So, International Conference on Rights and Responsibilities of the Nation was held in Montevideo, 1933, in Uruguay. Okay. In this convention, they identified certain conditions that a country should have to be declared as a state, a political entity. That is, one, it should have a large territory or any territory with a well-defined border. Even if it is not large also, it should have a well-defined border. And that territory should be sovereign, independent. Means no other nation should claim right over it. That is first. In simple words, territory which is independent with a border. Okay. Second is external recognition. Neighboring countries should recognize. That is where most of the countries are now stuck. External recognition means, let's say if I am creating a territory here and I am claiming this as a country, you are my neighbor. You should say, yes, this is an independent country. I have no right over it. That is something that is very difficult to come by. External recognition, we call it as. The surrounding countries should recognize. Third, there should be some rule of law. Means there is a territory, means obviously there should be a government with some rule of law. Let's say it might be a democratic country or a communist country, or it can be a dictatorship also, or a monarchy also. Right. Some rule of law should be there. Right. Then there should be ongoing population or existing population there who are living there over a long period of time. Right. And a patriotic feeling also, that if you ask them which country they belong, they should say, I belong to this country. Right. Okay. And fifth condition we have is the economic system. They should have some set of economic activities for people to earn revenue and pay tax. For example, primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, quinary activities they should have, so that people have some job to do. So these are the 5 conditions that was given in the Montevideo Convention on Rights and Responsibilities of the State. So this was before UN, as I said, before the formation of UN. So when UN was formed, so Security Council was created, General Assembly was created. So now, any particular territory, like you said, Kosovo, or Palestine, or it might be Taiwan. So they might have to seek permission from the Security Council before declaring themselves as a country or a state recognized by the world. So what will happen now? The Security Council consists of five permanent members, correct? 10 non-permanent members. These 10 non-permanent members are not important because they are elected for 2 years term from the General Assembly. But 5 permanent members we have. They have a say in it.
The veto power.
They have the veto power. So now what happens? You know. So any country which is approaching UN to declare itself as a country will have to go through these 5 countries.
Okay.
What if one of them object to it?
Right.
So they will not become a country as such. So there is a reason Taiwan is objected by China. Correct.
Right.
Taiwan's right to become a country is now objected by
China.
People's Republic of China. So similarly, any other country would take Western Sahara. So Western Sahara wants to become a country now. So Morocco is not recognizing it. External recognition is not there.
Right.
Plus other countries like US, UK are not recognizing Western Sahara. So they get vetoed out. So that is the reason many countries are now struggling to become a country now. Let's say, even if the 5 permanent members of Security Council approve, like US, France, Russia, UK, China, they approve. Then it goes to General Assembly.
Right.
General Assembly has 193 members.
Correct.
So out of 193, 2/3 vote should be in favor of that country.
Correct.
So now you know the problem now. So many countries might not be in favor of that. So it might get voted out in General Assembly also. So there is another problem we are facing. So that is then many countries are now in the phase of, they have declared themselves as independent. They have autonomy. But it is not recognized by UN or other countries as of now. So this is how it is.
Which brings us to the topic like UNSC reforms
and
all the
very true
contentious political issues and diplomatic issues.
True.
So thank you, sir, for giving us your time. And I think with the exam coming up in 2026 May, discussions like this time and again will definitely help the students.
Definitely.
And we would require more of your time in the future as well to come up with some short videos like this and help us understand the nuances of this exam. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.